back with some big motto.
With some big motto. And also, if you also enter politics and the moment you are elected into public office, you also make it. And so many other things that our lawmakers also need to be more concerned. Since we are talking about morality, we also need to talk about adherence to the rules of the game in politics, party discipline, and so many other things. These are also things that should also concern them. And also, since we are on that pedestal of morality, we should also, as lawmakers...
I'm sorry about the laugh. Please go on.
Okay, I refuse to look at you.
Please go on.
Since we are also there, we should also take a second look at our movies and other things you see on the internet that encourages what do you call it? Pornography and so many other things. The issue of side chick, this issue of the sugar daddy, and so many other things. Let's make it the whole log, and and also the issue of gambling.
Right.
So let's make it everything. Let's not just stop with pornography.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm laughing so hard, but the sarcasm in your voice is too loud.
I don't know about that.
It's too loud.
We are talking about morality here, Didi. Don't let me miss the point.
Okay.
We should be a moral nation. We should have that moral compass. Mm-hmm. We should live a prim and proper life.
Right.
Understand?
Right. I love the sugar daddy part. Moving on now, is this considered a legal move? Would one say that?
Well, I think it could be tested in court. It may end up in court. Some right groups
may I foresee that as well.
Drag the matter to court, so the court will now decide do you have the right, especially this since it's not a public TV, for example. It's not a terrestrial TV, that everyone is the internet, and people may decide to argue that, well, these are sites that are subscribed to. It's not a free-to-air site, so people and those sites, most of them will have a 18 plus requirement and stuff like that. So it's something that may end up in court.
Okay, let's move on now.
Please.
The Rivers Brouhaha, it found its way to the table of the president again, because once it was invited to, intervene, and he intervened, but then they say that, in fact, we saw it on News on the Hour earlier, but he said that the people involved just didn't take it as seriously as they should. So let me read that report very quickly. President Tinubu has called on Governor Sim Fubara to fully and immediately comply with the Supreme Court's judgment to keep the peace in Rivers State. According to the president, the nation is governed by the rule of law, without which there will be no order and there will be no governance. And it was during the meeting with the delegation of PANDEF at Aso Villa that the president spoke. And it was on the request by the group that the president intervened in the political logjam. So the president put the issue directly on the lap of the governor, that's Fubara. Since March 7, Supreme Court made some rulings. Now, apart from asking council chairmen whose elections were declared invalid to vacate office, Fubara has just kept on promising that he would. If it was headlines on some papers today where he said Supreme Court judgment would be followed or would be. But then again, you wonder, is there a day that is the ideal day for this Supreme Court judgment to finally see light of day?
Well, I don't know, and just like we discussed before the program commenced, it's a no-brainer what the position of the president, because as the president of the country, he's expected to uphold the rule of law.
Correct.
And that is the part the president is towing. But you also, if you read in between the lines, the quotes on the president, you would understand the undertone of his message to the people, especially. This is not the first time the matter is before the president.
Right.
You recall, just like you said, sometime last year, there was this meeting that the president had with the warring groups, and at the end of the day, the agreements were reached, and everyone thought, that may just be it. Peace will return, but unfortunately, that did not happen because the agreement was not adhered to, at least not by both parties at the end of the day. But the situation we have now, if the president's admonition is to be analyzed, what the president is saying, first and foremost, do what the court says. Then we pick it up from there. That's simple. And what the main issue there is, one, the state has been starved of funds because the central bank and I think one other agency has been barred from dispensing funds to the state. And the state cannot function without funds. Two, that the governor needs to represent the budget to the House of Assembly. Those are the two critical issues that needs to be sorted out. So,
go on, please.
Okay.
All right, so let's cast our mind back to the earlier meeting with the president where, both parties reached an agreement. The argument that the Fubara camp is putting forward is that the agreement was skewed. It was skewed against them. How do you reach an agreement when I'm trying to just look at this thing, objectively now. You are at a meeting. Whether or not you were there, you were represented there, but I believe that it was live there at the meeting. And then what was considered agreement were reached. I am sure you would see photos of handshakes just to, what's it called now, put a tone of finality to the agreement. How do you attend those kind of meetings, agree on some agreements, and then get home and realize, oh no, this agreement was skewed against me?
I think that's a very critical question because just like you said, the agreement was not reached between Fubara and former Governor Wike, just the two of them and the president. It wasn't the three of them in the room. So you could not say, he was intimidated or deceived into agreeing. He had his group. He had his advisors with him. They had a team.
It was a full team meeting.
So, and I'm sure that agreement came after a series of negotiation, explaining their position and everything before that came. And nobody, I assume, was forced into agreeing or signing anything. So I think, normally what happens in situations like that, when you now go back home and you now look at the matter again, now say, oh, no, this cannot happen. And you always have this letter-day friends, fair weather friends, who always hang around you, who always want to advise you, who always want to take advantage of the situation, and so many things like that. At the end of the day, that's why we always say that as leaders, as people in authorities, it's always good to have one or two individuals, one or two persons who would always be bold enough to look you in the eye
and tell you the truth.
Mostly your childhood friends. These are not guys who are friends with you because of your position. They've been there when you guys were nothing. You've played together, you've eaten together, you've fought together, and so many things. So they are free. It's always good for a leader to have one or two of such people who would always say, no, this is what should be done. Forget the hordes of analysts, lawyers, people who always... Those are guys who know that, man, as a sitting governor, as a minister, you have access to a lot of money.
Of course.
And they will come up with a lot of schemes to make sure that, no, you can't do this now. You are in charge.
Fan his ego once in a while.
Yes,
remind him of things
exactly.
that
and at the end of the day, when the bubble bursts, you're on your own. At the end.
And that's what it's looking
like.
So,
but for us, the president also said something that touched me. He said we should be more concerned about the people of River State. We should be more concerned about taking governance to these people. How do you move the state forward? That should be the major issue. Forget about the egos and everything. That will always be there. But fundamentally, because if the funds are not released to the state, salaries will not be paid, basic things will not be done, and you know that it's just a matter of time before anarchy will set in.
But that's even to the disadvantage of the governor of the state, right? Because salaries not being paid, and what about the economy of the state?
This is to the disadvantage of everyone, even all the parties involved, even to the president himself. Because if a part of the nation is in turmoil, Rivers State.
Rivers
State. You know what that means at the end of the day. And the president said he has given them enough time to think about it, enough time to act and everything. So if you read in between the lines, what the president is saying is that you guys are running out of time.
They ran out of time a long time ago. All right, so let's move on now. We've had, there was a time you opened the papers or even online platforms, and past 2-3 stories you'd hear of a fire in a market. Another 2-3 stories you hear another fire in a market, and it's usually goes worth millions of naira that are usually consumed in these fires or affected by these fires. Recently is this fire in Ibadan market. One was reported, property worth millions were destroyed. Let me read that report very quickly on Vanguard now. General Manager of Oyo State Fire Service, Yemi Akin Yinka, confirmed the incident. Akinyemi, in a statement issued today, said that men of the agency were still working at the market. More details are expected to come in later, but what we know for sure is that property worth millions of naira have been destroyed as a result of fire incident that ravaged some parts of Aleshinloye market in Ibadan. Aleshinloye market in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Does it get to a point where we're supposed to get used to this kind of situation?
No, we can't get to that.
But I
understand.
Why.
Yes, I understand. Is it number one? Didi, you're a woman. I'm sure you go to a lot of. You visit the markets often. Have you seen the way we build our markets?
Right.
If there is an emergency, to move around is almost impossible.
Definitely.
Apart from the main structures of the market, you have other shanties built, you have other makeshift counters all over the place, along the corridors and everything. So you make it almost impossible if there is an emergency, if there's a fire emergency, to say, okay, first, even evacuating the people in the market. We are not even talking about salvaging the property. First, evacuate the people. It's going to be Aleshinloye market, I know it very well in Ibadan. It's a huge market. And this situation I'm painting is like that, just like in other markets in Ibadan and other places. You have the same thing. Large expanse of land, so many stalls. Then you have other lock-up stores. You have the other ones that are open. You have the shanties outside. You have the kiosks. Then you have the people who are selling beside the roads and so many other things. And that's one. Two, what is the facilities you have in this market? Do they have water hydrants? I doubt.
Let's start with water, then we talk about hydrants.
So it's almost impossible, because sometimes people are quick to blame the fire service. Oh, they came in after the first tank, there was no water again. And then you don't. Nowhere in the world that you have fire service that will always bring water from their stations to wherever the water is. All they need to do, the first one they come in, there needs to be a water hydrant somewhere. You plug your pipe, and then you go to work. Every public building is supposed to have it all over. That's how it is. But you don't have it, and at the end of the day, too, what is our relationship with, how enlightened are we in terms of coping with emergencies? If there's a fire incident, for example, do we quickly call the fire service, or everyone is expecting another person to call the fire service?
Yeah.
And at the end, you'll be surprised. You have 10, 15 people around. Not one person will make that call. But they expect...
Is it because they don't want to, or because they don't even know what numbers to call?
I think most times it's because they don't know what to do.
So there is now the need for some serious orientation and sensitization and awareness.
Because sometimes you don't expect the fire service people to be everywhere or to know what is happening anywhere.
But then again, in fairness to some of the reports that we've heard about situations where these calls are made and excuses are given. And they may not necessarily be excuses. They may just be stating the reality. Oh, we don't have water. Oh, the tires on our vehicles are bad. Oh, the person with the key went to eat or something.
True. But Didi, I tell you what, most of the times those calls are not made. Most of it, because when I used to be on the field and we go out to cover emergencies like that, and sometimes when you get there, we call the fire service this morning, and you now begin to ask the question, who exactly made that call? They say, somebody said somebody called. Now made who made this one? Say, my neighbor said the friend called. At the end of the day, you now find out that nobody exactly. I'm not saying that sometimes you could have these issues. Oh, vehicles are not properly maintained, and so many other things. But if we start by bombarding, if at the end, if there's a fire emergency and 10, 12 people make that call, you know that this is a serious matter.
All right, and then there is is a conspiracy theory to call it now that some of these fire incidents may actually be orchestrated. Is it possible?
Yeah, it is. It is. Sometimes, especially market, sometimes.
Why would that happen?
People can be very vicious, and I don't know what could be the motivating factor, but I've read some reports, official reports from fire service or even from the police that will say that okay, this was deliberate. Somebody deliberately did this or that. And you begin to wonder why.
Why? Yes, why?
That's the question. Why would someone do that? And it's not something restricted to Nigeria. So other places, I remember there was this fire incident somewhere in, I think, Texas or something. I can't really remember. And somebody was caught, and the person was accused of deliberately setting a large expanse of land on fire. I don't know.
Arsonists.
Yeah.
Is that because I know that, but that's not very popular around this part of the world. You know, when they say, oh, a serial killer, somebody who has some psychological problem, but those are not. It's not as if it's not a thing, but it's just not popular. So you would not see somebody just wake up and be an arsonist. Just
somebody can be for another reason in this part of the world. Maybe somebody has a grudge to grind with some market owners of some stores and say, okay, decide
but it's
to
always the markets. It's always the markets.
It's just okay, we do this, we do that.
We have a little more time. Can we just talk about the need for insurance for some of these people who own stores?
Yeah, but it's sometimes going to be a hard sell. I don't know how we're going to start.
I'm sorry. So I just remembered something that's making me laugh. Someone said, how do you do insurance in Nigeria? And they say, just use the blood of Jesus.
No, exactly. And even people who can afford it, they hardly do it. You understand? I know, the arguments, we have a lot of argument for and why people cannot do it. Where is the money? We need the money to eat. You now come. But you see, the truth of the matter is that it's a complex situation. Number one, even the industry before was not up and doing to encourage a lot of people. Now things are changing. A lot of things are changing now, and I remember those days when we were growing up. If you had an issue to claim insurance policy, it's going to be hell. You're going to, but things are really changing now. Sometimes these things don't take too long again, but a lot of sensitization needs to be done. That, for example, you buy a car of 150 million naira, and you are reluctant to take out a comprehensive insurance policy. Why? How much is it? Less than 5 million naira. Or 3 million naira to take out an
comprehensive. It's not those comprehensive. It's not those ones that you are mandated.
The third party. So, but you see some people down here. Somebody will hustle money and get a second, what we call a used vehicle, Tokumba vehicle of 8-10 million naira, and he says, no, I can't take it. A comprehensive insurance. I'd rather do a third party. You pay 15,000 naira. I say, what if the accident is not my portion?
It's not my portion.
That's it.
Oh God, this is so sad. And then when they have, because I know that, I mean, I don't think the Almighty, depending on what faith you belong to, I don't think you just sit down and just say, okay, today this guy has been boring. His life has been boring. Let's just finger point him and let him have an accident. Sometimes things just happen.
That's why it's called an accident.
Exactly. So I don't think it's anybody's portion per se.
Exactly.
It's nobody's portion. It's just
it's just like it could happen.
It could happen, and exactly. I think the best thing to do is just have yourself protected and insured. The best way to protect yourself is to have an insurance. Natasha Akpoti Oduaran and Senate President again and again, because you see, you know why this is interesting? When this fracas, brouhaha, whatever adjective you choose to call it, when it started, the argument was, oh, she's playing the old card in the book. Like, this is the oldest trick. When you say something, just link it to sexual harassment. And That's it. That's like the go-to excuse for a lot of people when it involves a man and a woman. But over time, we have seen how this thing has panned out, right? It just keeps getting more interesting. The latest we hear is that there has been a report. They have gone to go and report Senate President. you saw that, I am sure. You saw that move by the Kogi Central representative and saying she has gone to. I'm looking for that particular story now. I hope that I find it very quickly. But you know what I'm talking about. So I need you to just take the lead. Let's hear your thought on that.
Well, I wish I could see that.
The report too?
The report.
Okay.
Yes. I saw.
I think I found it. So the suspended Kogi senator took her case to a global stage. It was at the Women in Parliament session held at the Inter-Parliamentary Union meeting at the United Nations in New York that Senator Natasha went to seek justice and the intervention of global democratic institutions. She's asking for justice over what she described as injustice meted out to her. And she described her suspension from the Senate as illegal. And she's not the only one who has described this as illegal, though.
Well, I think Senator Natasha is just trying to bring to bear public pressure, international public pressure on the Senate. That's the intention. But I doubt whether there's anything else the IPU will do in terms of enforcement or any other thing. And the reaction of even the IPU too was profound, because at the end of our submission, and this is what the IPU president said, he said, we will not act based on false emotions. Senator Natasha spoke out of our agenda today, but we have listened to her. It's only normal to hear from the other side before we take steps. That's what I'm saying. I'm sure she knows that nothing much is likely to come out, but just to bring to bear that international pressure on the Senate.
But if they do listen to both sides and they find anything, because there will be a listening. It's not as if anything is not, like nothing is going to happen at all. But if they do listen and there are going to be moves to be made, I've seen that a lot of international media houses have also picked interest in this. At
the end of the day, we've always said that at the end of the day, it's going to boil down on how she's able to prove her case.
Right.
Because nobody's just going to say, okay, since you said it, it happened.
It's happened.
That's it. And she went to the case is also in court. That's what the court is also going to rely on. Whatever, anyhow you look at it, at the end of the day, it's going to boil down on how you prove your case. Finish. Every other thing is emotion.
Well, it's going to be hard to prove, though.
Well,
because
you can never tell what she has.
Unless, because the what's it called? The interview I watched, the narration did not seem like something that can be proven. She said it was just a tour of the house, unless she preempted that was going to happen. So there was some sort of recording. Otherwise, anyway, speaking at the session, Natasha recounted her ordeal. This was what she said. I come with a heavy heart from Nigeria, but first I'd like to apologize to honorable members. I am not here to bring shame to my country. I am here to seek help for the women of Nigeria. It just became about women. Okay. I continue. 5 days ago, on the 6th of March 2025, I was illegally suspended as a senator because I submitted a petition of sexual harassment against the president of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. I believed that submitting the petition would lead to a fair and transparent investigation, but instead I was silenced and suspended. My suspension came with a severe condition, or my suspension came with severe conditions. My security was withdrawn, my office vehicles and other entitlements were taken away, my salary was cut off, I was barred from appearing near the National Assembly. For 6 months, I am not allowed to present myself as a senator, either locally or internationally. This is a clear case of political victimization and a systematic effort to exclude women from leadership in Nigeria. If a female senator can be treated this way in full public view, imagine what ordinary Nigerian women face every day in workplaces and in universities. That's just part of what she said.
Okay, we'll wait for
But I like how it became about women. Like, just that's why some people argue that this may just be a little too sentiment. I think you also said something like that about how that they're going to make this about, it's about a particular what's it called, a particular north, south, east, west. What's that called?
What about?
North Central zone. It's about zone. Yeah, it's about zone or about a particular people. So they're going to whip up sentiments and emotions. But as you said, let's see how that goes. Electricity in Nigeria.
Don't go there.
That's the last one we're looking at today. Why shouldn't I go there?
I know you have a personal story.
Oh God. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't at all. But what I find interesting is that, well, maybe because the Lagos situation is a lot more complex, or maybe it deserves more attention. But I see that there's been a lot of explanations from TCN trying to explain why there was a power drop to Lagos State. And then I'm wondering, me, for instance, now. Anyway, TCN is explaining that there was a major fault on its Motosho Ikeja West 33 kilovolts transmission line, and it significantly reduced electricity supply to Lagos. He was the manager of public affairs, of course, TCN, Ndidimba, that in a statement said that the transmission line snapped between towers 420 and 422 on March 9, resulting in the drop of approximately 350 megawatts of bulk electricity supply to the state. Now, we know over time that there's always back and forth. So we do to 500 megawatts, and then there's like a 350 drop, and then we go back and get again to about 700, and then there's like a 500 drop. When are we? What's up?
I wish I'm able to answer.
But how do you? I mean, do you still have that feeling when there is a power outage and your spirit drops, and then they restore power and something lifts? Do you still have that?
No, I don't.
Oh, you have outgrown it.
We've been so battered with the power situation that I don't even celebrate us having light. I don't miss not having light again. That's how I've decided to live my life, so that let me face other issues seriously, because I don't know, in our part of the town we get like 4 or 5 hours a day.
What?
And it's mostly at night when you virtually, except maybe for this heat period that you say, okay, you need the heat. But that's always been like that. So I don't know. We just let it be. Stop staring.
As much as this is supposed to be normal, it is how unnormal, quote and unquote, it actually is. This is not how it should be. We shouldn't get accustomed to.
We shouldn't get accustomed to so many other things in Nigeria. We shouldn't get accustomed to bad governance. We shouldn't get accustomed to corruption in public office. We shouldn't get accustomed to lawlessness and so many other things. So where do we start?
We'll round it off here today. Thank you very much for being a part of the analysis. In fact, you are the man standing today.
Thank you so much,
Didi.
Just that from tomorrow, you know our agreement.
I don't have any agreement. Please say it now.
Let it not be like the other agreement.
Which other agreements? Beijing agreements?
My cup of coffee.
Stay with us. Citizen FM 93.7, top of the hour, news on the hour, right up to which it will be in sight.
If you ask me,